Welcome to another edition of Walk With Me. I'm Tyler Burgess of Eugene, Oregon, and I have gone down to Wellington, New Zealand to explore the southern island of New Zealand. I took a bus trip down the coast, and we stopped every now and again to see the sights and walk on the coast a little bit. This is an amazing story of how the original Maori people came ashore and how Abel Tasman and the instruments he used came ashore also. He was a captain for the Dutch East Indies. This is a little local bird who has a long beak, and he began to move towards my boots with those beaks. And so I just left, and he left. This is the next day. We stayed in a little town called Westport. There wasn't much to do but go for a walk and enjoy the homes. Again, they had some of these small cottages, and these would have been more gold miners were over here and some timber workers. Then we stopped at Hoki Diki. And I'll share some of my sketchbook diary with you. As you can see, one interesting thing were all the different trees and shrubs and plants here, and they informed you with these reader boards as you went through these forests. Franz, Josef. We stopped at Pancakes Rocks to do a hike. These rocks do look like pancakes, the way the strata is. This had been a coal mining town at one time, and here's a memorial to the coal miners. This is my sketch of taking the helicopter up to the Franz Josef Glacier. It was a spectacular sunny day with blue skies that they don't often get. You see the line in the background where the vegetation ends? Our guide asked us to guess how many years it took for that to melt, the glacier that far, and there were many guesses, and it has been only 5 years that the glacier's melting at a tremendous rate. Here's our guide, and they estimate in 40 years this glacier has been here for thousands of years. It will be gone at the current rate at which it is melting. This is the bridge where the original bungee jump was in the world. If you look carefully, you can see somebody on a bungee coming off that bridge underneath that shadow there. And here's another view of them. They would drop down into a boat on that river. This man cut my hair for $150, and he was from Guayaquil, Ecuador, which is where my son lives. Now we have come to the real reason I am in New Zealand. I'm taking a boat out to do the Milford Track. You only get out there by boat. It's in a wilderness area. You have 3 nights in huts, for which you pay about $75 a night to sleep in a dormitory. You take your own food and your own sleeping bag. Here's the start. It was so beautiful. It was like being in a magazine spread. The first evening, a park ranger took us on a nature walk and explained what would kill you if you ate it. But no worries, I'm not putting any plants or berries in my mouth. This is the 2nd of February. Our guide said that he had not seen more than 1 day of sunshine for a whole month, and I had 3 days of blue skies. It was just glorious. This is the pass you go over, McKinnon Pass. This is my new friend Anne. She travels the world for years at a time. Look to the lower left of this photo and you can see a person in a blue shirt. That's how big these waterfalls are. This was a 33.5 mile that made Franz with this couple from Israel who had come to do the Milford Track. And we walk down to Sandfly Point and a boat picks us up and takes us where we can get a bus to get back. Our bus takes us back to Queenstown. This is an early morning walk. Statue of a kiwi bird. Continuing on my bus ride, we stop in this town of Cromwell, and then we go by this incredibly beautiful lake, and here's a tribute to the importation of mountain goats, not native here. Lake Pukaki. Lake Pukaki. This is what the lake looks like from the airplane ride. We're going to go up around Mount Cook. This is the drainage from the glaciers into the lake, which is why you have this beautiful aquamarine color. Oh, and there is Mount Cook, the highest point in these mountains in the southern island of New Zealand. The moisture comes in off the ocean and dumps on one side of these mountains, and we had flown over from the dry side. There's a close-up view of Mount Cook. We're flying back to where we started, Lake Tekapo. On the right is a big mountain where there's an observatory. The captain, of course, wanted his picture taken with me. There's a tiny little church down here. It's very charming. Then we went over to Christchurch. As you may recall, they had a huge earthquake in 2012. This is the Botanical Garden. Some of it's severely damaged, as you'll see, but the garden's lovely. If you haven't guessed by now, the rose is my favorite flower. Out of the rubble of the earthquake, they have made a downtown of container crates. It's interesting, probably works. The church, as you can see, was severely damaged, and it looks like they're going to try to save it. They have made all sorts of growing roofs here, interesting things to get people to come down and enjoy themselves. You can see the damage, it's just extensive. They have a lovely museum here. I spent an afternoon in. They have an Antarctic Museum. And this is what they've done to make a new cathedral. This is all made out of the inside tubes of carpets. And all this is recycled material in here. Here are the carpet tubes. It's really lovely. Even the church cross is made out of the tubes. And as you can see, it's just plywood and some kind of plastic covering. It's not fancy, but it's interesting. And you can see the containers at the bottom of the church. And now I've flown from Christchurch, New Zealand over to Melbourne, Australia to meet my friends Hannah and Baptiste. I knew them here in Eugene. Baptiste had been one of my couch surfing guests, and we stopped by some of the churches. We wandered around through the park. Melbourne's lovely. And these are some of the Melbourne neighborhoods that we walked through. It's just so lovely here, and it was summertime, it was February, so it was very pleasant weather. I stayed with a couchsurfing.org host, Mike and Jenny, and I loved his car, and we took pictures. Here's the nice couple. They live just outside of Melbourne, and we went out in the evening for a ride to see the kangaroos come out and feed in the evening. Baptiste and Hannah and I took a drive along the coast. Hannah's from Lake Oswego, Oregon, and Baptiste is French, and they met when they were students at the University of Oregon. And they're getting married this summer in France and have invited me to their wedding. So I'm very excited to go and pleased to be invited. I rented a car and we drove along the coast. I especially wanted to see the koala bears. They're not really exciting. They lie in the trees and nap in the middle of the day. But it was fun. Here's Hannah and Baptiste again. They're getting married in France this summer, and I'm going to go to their wedding. It's very kind of them to invite me. Hanging Rock was the site of a novel set about in the 1800s of some schoolgirls who went there and disappeared, and their teacher disappeared. They were never found. That's the mystery. It's a novel, though. There are lots of kangaroos around, sort of like our deer are here. Another fun thing we did was go to a nature sanctuary where we got to see the local animals. These are flying squirrels. And this is a Tasmania devil. After enjoying Melbourne for a few days, I flew north to Sydney. This, of course, is the famous Sydney Opera House. My favorite thing to do is walk down the street, see the homes, see the neighborhoods. Sydney's truly lovely. Thank you for joining me, Tyler Burgess, on another show of Walk With Me as we walk the world.